And Amparo and I are both in our week of parent-teacher conferences, which takes any brain cells that you may have had away for anyone who's ever done it before.
So we're live on YouTube now, so just so you know. I'm gonna,
I did see the sign in the corner.
okay. I'm gonna turn my camera and mic off.
We do have a quorum, but I want to wait a minute just to see if they're coming.
Okay. Devin Lincoln will be joining us in closed session right off the bat, so she can give you an update on the lawsuit.
Should we start and just have them meet us in closed sessions so that way we don't?
Yeah, Amparo just texted, says she's got 2 parent conferences and then she'll join when she's done.
Okay. So it is 5:06. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. The roll call, Ms. Soriano is not yet present. Mr. Patel?
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Sandoval?
Here.
And Ms. Hargis Saldani is not yet present. Sarah Turner present, so we do have a quorum so that we can begin. 1.2 is approval of the board agenda. I wanted to let you guys know there's a misprint on 6.1. If you look at it, the cover page, when it says cost, instead of saying $1,000 there on cost, there's a $sign and then it says NA. Later down in the text, it does mention the $1,000 a year fee, and it's written in the contract, but I just wanted to ask for an approval of the board agenda with the amendment that the cost for Bobby Sox, the facilities use, is $1,000 a year.
Right. Yeah, and Sarah, on that, the $1,000 is usually in the form of receipts for improvements that they've made to the field. So it's,
Okay.
there is $1,000 in the contract or improvements to an equal amount. So that's probably why that's like that. So.
Okay. So just if I could have a motion to approve the board agenda with the understanding with Bobby Sox that it's either $1,000 annually or improvements that they do to the field.
A motion to approve. Oh, sorry.
So motion.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye.
Aye, so it passes 3-0. So we are going to, do I need a motion to adjourn to closed session?
Yeah, if you could, Sarah,
Yeah, absolutely.
we're supposed to read into the record, what are we going into closed session for? Because you have to specifically mention those 2 things.
Got it. Okay, so we're in
That's why the motion and the time are down at the bottom. That's why it's confusing. So
thank you. I was wondering. So we're going to adjourn to closed session momentarily, and the 2 things that are going to be discussed, 1.31 personnel actions, including appointments, employment evaluation, or discipline or dismissal or release of an employee, and 1.32 conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation, the Santa Rita Union School District versus the City of Salinas. So Could I have a motion to adjourn to closed session?
So motion?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
Aye. So we are going to adjourn to closed session at 5:09, and we will be returning to open session probably around 6 o'clock as our usual time. Thank you. I will see you at closed session. Nicole, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Sarah.
I'm not aware of us receiving any public comment or anything from SRTA or CSCA. Do you know if anything has come in?
Let me log in and check. Sarah, I have a message from Kate Stover and then a public comment.
Okay, can you read them at the appropriate time?
Yes.
Thank you. Nicole, I just got a message from Alva saying that she's not able to log on.
I don't see her in the waiting room. Let me.
Hi, everyone. I'm just waiting for Alva. She had sent me a phone message that she was not able to log on for some reason.
Sarah, did she say what and if she was getting any?
She just sent me a text saying that she's trying to join regular session and she's not able to right at the moment. I don't know if there's a delay in terms of getting the message.
Here, I got it. Here we go.
Okay, excellent. There we go. Okay. All righty, so we're going to officially reconvene to open session at 6:04. There is nothing to report out because we did not take any official action during closed session. When we originally went to closed session, the attendance was just myself, Mr. Patel, and Mr. Jacob Sandoval, but just for the record, I wanted to notice that Ms. Hargy Saldana was able to join us in closed session at 5:40, and Ms. Ariano is now present here with us for open session at 6:04. So we are now reconvening into open session, and if we would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent agenda?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye passes 5-0. So we're going on to 4.1 Santa Rita Teachers Association, and Ms. Jensen is going to read the report that they sent in.
Good evening, trustees. I'd like to take this time to welcome Mr. Andrew Sandoval to the board. We look forward to continuing the direction we have been moving as a district with him joining. Also, thank you to Ms. Hargi Saldana. It has been a pleasure working with you. We wish you a continued successful school year. Teachers have reported and celebrated a record number of completed parent-teacher conferences this fall. Many had 100% attendance. We think a virtual option for conferences is here to stay. As we move into the holiday season, teachers continue to teach students in new and engaging ways virtually. Though we can't complete all of our traditional holiday and winter activities, we are finding ways to adapt and new traditions. Finally, we'd like to thank all the veterans in the community for their service. We wish everyone a safe and healthy Thanksgiving break. Thank you. Kate Stover, SRTA President.
Thank you, Nicole. And I believe we don't have a CSEA letter at this point. So we're going to go on to 4.4 Superintendent's Cabinet, and starting with Mr. Helm, Nutritional Services.
Did we do 4.3?
There's not one. Yeah, 4.3 is Principal Spotlight, but there's not one this week.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Just a couple updates from our department. We're continuing to order and receive supplies and equipment. We ordered some serving carts that can double. We can still use them during the regular school year when school really opens up, the way we'd like it to. But we're going to try them if we do go to a hybrid model as well. So that we'll be getting those hopefully in the next 2 weeks or so. I'd like to thank Victor Sandoval. He provided some heaters for our department staff that's sitting outside and serving in the colder weather right now. So thank you, Victor. Meal counts, we've seen a drastic improvement. We're up from about 550 in September a day to 875 a day. That's 875 lunches, 875 breakfasts. And then the last update is I just spoke with Lillian Martinez with the food bank, and she has once again secured our meal distribution for November and all the way through December. So she's going to, usually it was just 1 month at a time, but she said they can do it all the way through December. So we're looking good there. And that's all for me.
Thank you so much, Chuck, for all that you do. And just want to make sure that you know that people in the community notice too, because I had somebody call and ask me about it this week and just be really impressed. So thank you. Any other board members have questions or comments?
Keep up the good work. Very impressed.
Okay, so 4.2 Maintenance, Operations, and Transportation, Mr. Victor Sandoval.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Like I said in my Friday letter, we're working on a couple of things, and we were finally to establish a couple of other additional things. So, for example, we have Bobby Stocks, who we finally have a long-term facilities use, and we also got the architectural services agreement done. So we were being able to select, the best value and the best fit for the district. So tonight we're going to be ratifying that. And we also did get 2 vehicles from Monterey County Office of Education that were being surplus. One might need a little help, but it's definitely a big win for us. Tim and I have been working on the Rogie Commons and the Salinas Valley Community Church. I would say it was a grant deed easement that was previously done prior to Santa Rita purchasing the the Bolsa Knolls area. So the property is actually, it has a pretty good easement for the church and Rogie Commons. In addition, it has a agreement, which is kind of a win-win situation for both of us. So Tim and I are just kind of getting the what I would call the right of way, and we're finally detailing on what that easement called for, and plus the agreements that were done with Rogie Commons.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, thank you. So 44.3, Chief Business Officer.
Good evening. I believe I provided a lot of what's going on at the business department on my Friday letter. Something that I forgot to share is that last week on Thursday, I had a meeting with the Monterey County Office of Education with all the CBOs. We usually have a representative from school services, someone who works with all the districts in California and the counties. And they were just sharing information in regards to how hard it has been for other districts to spend the funds for learning mitigation loss. And as I shared with you before, we had this monthly report that we had to report our expenditures on. I just got an email today that now we have to do a bi-weekly report because they really want to keep track of how much money we're spending per month. So they're getting a little bit more strict. They're asking for more information. I'm pretty sure they want to make sure that we are spending the funds. I had a meeting as well with Melissa last week just to make sure we had a backup plan for the backup plan that we already had. So we're working together on this. I also make sure that I share this information with our school secretaries. As you know, I did share a copy of the agenda in the Friday letter, just to give you an idea of the conversations that we have. So I also let them know that I'm available all the time if they want to reach out to me in regards to ideas or how to spend these funds. Something else that they were sharing is that a lot of districts in California are having a hard time collecting meal application forms. And I just want to thank Chuck on this because during the beginning of the school year for this year, we decided not to collect lunch applications because of COVID-19 and because we knew it was going to be really hard to collect them. And now I see that it was a really good decision because as other districts are really struggling with this is really going to affect their funding for, especially for LCAP. As you know, each lunch application, it's part of the unduplicated count, which is part of the LCAP. So just to give you an idea, one lunch application, it's worth about $3,000 for each student. When I started working here in Santa Rita last year, we decided to send out memos to the families with the lunch applications and sharing that information on how important it is to collect them, not only for our records, but for the funding for our school district. And it came out a very good, successful, because even though our enrollment last year was down, or lunch applications came up about 100 more than what we usually collect. And when you put all these numbers together, we're talking about $280,000 just on the LCFF funding. So I'm just so glad because our district is provision 2. That means that we don't have to collect every year, but we can use the 1920 as a base year and use that with the average on the LCFF calculator to come up with the new LCAP funding. So I'm just so glad that we went with that and that we're not struggling with that. We're only collecting applications for the new students. So, yeah, the bad news is that everyone is struggling, but that's not the case for our district. I also shared this information in the LCAP meeting with our parents, and believe me, parents were really shocked when I shared the dollar amount. They didn't know it was so important and it was so valuable that just one lunch application can affect so much money. So the parents were really thankful that I was sharing that in Spanish, and I also shared that in our DLAC meetings, the ones that I got invited with the principals. Also, I haven't shared this, but since the starting of 1920, I've been working with MCOE and really pushing forward something that is available in our accounting software. It's a access for an employee portal, which is web-based. And pretty much what this is that our employees at Santa Rita will be able to check in their phone with an app a copy of their paycheck stubs and a copy of their W-2 for the last 24 months. They can check their balance on vacation or sick leave. This is a free application that is already part of our accounting software. It's just nobody's using it in Monterey County because it hasn't been implemented. So I've been bugging Monterey County since for a year now. And as you know, the government, it works very slow. Just this last meeting and the CBO directors meetings that we had, they shared with me that they did the testing and it's working good, it's secured. So since I've been bugging them for so long, we're gonna be the first district who it's gonna go on board with this. It's gonna take time, but it's coming, and I'm just so glad because this is gonna help us to stay away from paper and getting everything more in our phones and digitalized. And going forward, this is something that we're gonna be able to do timesheets. Right now, we're collecting paper timesheets. So with the new technology, we're gonna be able to have electronic timesheets. So it's not additional cost, and I'm just so glad that we're taking a step forward to that new project. So I'm excited about that, and that's pretty much all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Just a comment, it's awesome when new ideas get pushed forward that make things a lot easier and stuff. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for all of your hard work with that, and thank you for your support of the ELAC and DLAC meetings. We really appreciate that too. So going on to student services.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Nice to see all of you. I don't have much beyond for my report beyond the Friday letter. However, we had a very excellent transition meeting today to backfill some counseling services. I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago in our board meeting. So we were able to have a meeting today to put the counselor that's coming in that's going to provide coverage at New Republic and McKinnon, as well as a need at Bolson Knolls that we see for obvious reasons. So I feel very comfortable with that, and we decided to fund this to the end of the school year and just keep that person on. And so we choose a number of students when we develop the contract. So we know the maximum students that this counselor can take on per the contract agreement between ELUMA and Santa Rita Union School District. So I think that's going to work out really well for the services that we need with a counselor that's on leave, as well as the extra need that we see based on the current situation that we recently went through. I also just wanted to take a minute here, a couple weeks out now from our last board meeting, to really acknowledge our district employed school counselors and our school psychologists, which with very little notice, when you have sudden tragedy, to put together a plan to provide help and support at Bolson Knolls a few weeks ago. And they did an amazing job in with some of them dealing with their own sense of loss. And they were able to pull together supports to get Bolson Knolls through that first week, as well as the second. And now we'll start restructuring a little bit based on need. And the counselor that works at that site will be the point of contact for scheduling out any further services or mental health needs that might be needed for that school site. And I also wanted to thank Monterey County Behavioral Health, who returned a phone call to me on that Monday after, and at 8 o'clock, and the first phone call she made to really provide support. Here's what we can do to help, and services that we can provide for Santa Rita Union School District, as well as here is some advice that I would give you as a student services director on how to move forward and what to watch out for. So thank you to SRUSD school psychologists and counselors, as well as MCBH for helping us get through this difficult time.
Thank you, Nadine, and to the staff. I appreciate everybody's just gone above and beyond, and it's noticeable. Did anybody else have questions or comments? Okay. Now to human resources.
Thank you. I have a few items to share. I let you know at our last board meeting that MCSIG open enrollment was taking place this month. We are in the middle of that. We have a series of Zoom meetings for our employees if they have questions about plans, since some of them are changing, and also have scheduled site visits. Our HR team will be going to each school site over the next couple of weeks, so that if employees have questions or just want to turn in their forms to us there at their school site to make it easier for them, we're available. We have scheduled some professional development in the district for a couple groups of people. So for our administrators and management, we will be hosting Fierce Conversations, the foundational training, on Monday. And that training is really about how to lead conversations with integrity and in a collaborative way that looks to understand that there may be more than one truth based on people's own experiences and perspectives. So how to be a leader and a good communicator. Our MOT department will be participating in a training that is called Creating Optimism in the Workplace. And that's about how to work together professionally to learn how to treat any negative behaviors that can arise in the workplace amongst coworkers and colleagues, to create optimism, bounce back from setbacks, and get on track with a we can do it together attitude. And so we're excited to bring that to them the first week of December. And the last thing that I wanted to say is I'm very grateful that Gail Spencer accepted the position as interim principal for Bolsa Knolls for the time being. I believe that for that school site who has dealt with such tragedy and loss right now, that consistency of having Gail take the reins and lead is going to really help them to continue moving forward. And I know that I speak on behalf of all of us when I say that we're grateful to her for accepting that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments? Okay. Educational services.
Neil had a.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I had a quick comment. You know, I'm talking to a number of parents from BK, and I'm very glad that we had a vice principal that could take the lead, you know, during these unquestionably bad circumstances, you know. And so, you know, it's a very difficult time for our district, but the fact that somebody's stepping up that is from our district that wants to take that role, I'm very supportive. So let's wish her luck, you know. Thank you.
Thank you. And Neil, I just want to let you know from my screen, you're going in and out, being frozen. I can hear you really well, but just if you're raising your hand, I might not get it because your little square is frozen to me. So you might just have to unmute yourself if I go on. I apologize.
So should I call Comcast and start complaining again, or should I wait till the end of the meeting?
Let that be a personal choice, but I'm just apologizing for being rude. I'm sorry. Okay. And with that, thank you, Ms. Alderman, for waiting. So educational services.
No problem. Last week, a new grant opportunity crossed my desk. I went ahead and put in an intent to apply, which was due last week. It is for the California Community Schools Partnership Program. And it's a competitive grant for up to $1 million. And it will, if we are awarded this grant, we will be able to use these funds to help support our development of a family resource center at Santa Rita Elementary School. So one of the very first eligibility criteria is that the school site have a unduplicated percent of over 80. And Santa Rita Elementary is at 86.2%, making it our one site that is eligible for this. And it really will bridge a lot of the activities that Nadine and I have been working on with community agencies like Salinas Valley Memorial Hospital Mobile Clinic, things like that. So we'll be able to use those funds for staff, for programming, and some of those community connections. And so I'm gonna turn on my grant writing hat, which I've done before for Santa Rita, and I'll do it again. And hopefully we will be awarded this grant and be able to move forward in a even more dynamic way than we may have.
Questions or comments? Mr. Jacob Sandoval?
Yeah, this is exciting news, and I guess whatever support you need, Tim.
Yeah, I know that this has been a goal of board members and cabinet members and just our district as a whole. So I couldn't be more delighted, quite honestly. And and it's not just because I live next door, but I think Santa Rita is a great place to have this, and just in terms of its accessibility to the community. You know, that there's just a lot of people that live within walking distance. So very exciting.
I think so too. And then we can maintain our center over in the Bolsonals, La Jolla area as sort of a satellite. We support that currently through LCAP, and we can certainly keep that going and growing as well. But this will really help get our hub of services open and running.
Thank you so much. Okay, so now we're at 4.5, board and superintendent. So board reports, Mr. Jacob Sandoval.
Yeah, I received a phone call a couple days ago from a community member, and I had a question on the Santa Rita school site. Do we know if the population of families that don't speak Spanish or English? The call came because there was a family who comes from Mexico but doesn't speak Spanish. They speak indigenous language from over there. So do we have other types of access to translation there?
Yes, actually, we have access to translation for almost any language. So really a school site just needs to reach out to my department, and then we can set them up with the proper translation. We got a call in the office as well, Mr. Sandoval, about a family who might need assistance. And I know that we handled it and gave some suggestions on how to move forward. So I don't know if it's the same situation. But yes, we have access to interpreters.
Okay, yeah, they I guess it was a new family going to get registered at our school, and they called the secretary, and I guess they didn't really know what to do, and they transferred them over to the what's the other county program that's there? Slipping my mind.
Oh, to Head Start?
No, not to Head Start. To the migrant program.
To migrant. Yeah, okay.
And so I guess just maybe just letting the Santa Rita site know that there is those services available.
Yeah, it's basically the school. We had another school site reach out to us today that needed interpretation for Mixteco, right? So it's just a matter of getting a hold of the interpretation company to set up so that we can get that facilitation. We don't employ anybody who speaks. We have some languages where we don't employ anybody who speaks. So we have to get that interpretation piece set up.
And do we know, I'm not sure if we've ever done like a survey as far as the number of families at the Santa Rita district site that probably would fall into that category that neither speak English nor Spanish?
I don't know if we've ever done a survey. We probably have a home language survey that we can look at.
Sorry, I was going to pop in and say that when someone registers for the district, they fill out a home language survey and indicate their native language or languages. And so we keep that in Aries and we run that. We have a lot of like Farsi, Mixteco, lots of non-Spanish second language learners in our district. And so we gather that data through registration.
Okay, the reason I asked is because the community member made a statistic to me that said that apparently they said they were told that 80% of the families from our district that participate in the migrant program, the parents only speak Mixteco. And so I thought that was like a huge number. So I wasn't sure if that was correct or not. So that's why I figured they called me a couple of days ago. When I heard 80%, I was like, whoa, that means that's a big number. So I'm not sure if we can kind of maybe look into that and see if that number is correct or not. And if it is, then yeah, just to kind of.
Could you state that again? 80% of the families speak Mixteco or just?
80% of the families who participate in the migrant program from our district,
Okay,
that the parents only speak Mixteco. And apparently they were told that there's about 300 families that participate in the migrant program. And so 80% of 300 seemed like a large number.
yeah.
Um,
I mostly come across it like an IEP, right? And they're interesting because sometimes we interpret from Spanish to Mixteco to English. It's an interesting process of how it works, in the interpretation. But I'm sure Melissa and I can reach out to Migrant. We have contacts of how to figure that out and see. But there certainly is access to interpretation for sure.
Yeah, one thing they mentioned was, I guess in Mixteco, there's also a lot of variations depending on which town they're from. So they also recommended that it might be good to do a survey to see if there's families that are primarily from a certain town, to make sure we have the correct translator. Because I guess he had mentioned that what will happen at their clinic would be just a Mixteco translator in general. Sometimes it doesn't help if they're from a specific town. And there's like variations in the language and stuff. So
And I don't think there's a written language for Mixteco, is there? It's my understanding it's just oral. So doing a survey is extremely tricky.
yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be my comment, that you would have to go orally family to family in terms of needs because you couldn't get it.
So I guess maybe that might be something to look at that might have been missed potentially if the survey sent out to the parents. And if it's the kid filling it out as opposed to the parents, the kid might just put Spanish and there might be something that may be missing there. So just something to look into.
We'll make sure that the school site knows at least. I'm not sure how Migrant handles their interpreters or what they need, but and how that works within their program. It's always a bit of a blurry boundary between county programs and district programs and who's providing what service. But certainly we can make sure when we come back Thursday, just to let Santa Rita school site know if they need interpretation to just call us. We can't make it happen instantaneously. It takes
of course, yeah.
24 to 48 hours to set up an interpreter and then figuring out the next steps for that and how do you get everybody in the same meeting and virtually or whatever we're going to do. So, but we'll let them know that we certainly have access to that.
Yeah, thank you. Just letting them know the resources there so that way they don't figure out they're not supported. Thank you.
Thank you. So going on to Ms. Ariano, just in terms of board reports.
I don't have anything to report out. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Patel?
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hargy Saldana?
I don't have anything to report out, but I just do want to extend my appreciation for the time that I have been part of this board. It's been very enlightening, very eye-opening experience. Definitely see how hard this district works for its community. I'm so glad my boys have been part of this district and all the influences that you guys have provided, the resources. I see how hard you have to work to be a board member. And, for that reason, I've chosen not to, rerun it. And I am involved in other community activities and as a teacher, providing and having the time. And I want to make sure that if I ever do put myself in this kind of role again, the lights in my room go off automatically. They're censored. Yeah. I just do appreciate, I can see that, if I do ever put myself in this role again, it takes a lot of commitment and I want to be able to do it in the right way. And provide the right time for it. So I have learned a lot from all of you guys, the process. It's educated me enough to be an active member in the board of my school, at my SCIDS my kids' present schools and what have you. So there's not enough words that I can say. It's been a short-lived little experience, but I think I've learned and grown a lot from this. So thank you all. Truly, truly blessed and appreciate all the guidance that you guys given me.
Thank you. I have nothing to report for myself. I just want to say to Ms. Hargy Saldana, it's been a pleasure, and we couldn't have asked for more. And specifically, the way that you've advocated for Spanish-speaking families from your own experience, I think has been really powerful, and you've been able to put yourself in the shoes of a lot of our students, and that's been incredibly helpful. Thank you. Okay. And now to Mr. Ryan, Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Sarah. I just want to let everybody know I've been popping into staff meetings virtually. I'm doing that now because it's one of the, I spoke with Kate Stover a few weeks ago, and one of the things that we both hit on was it was just, I hadn't been out, I hadn't seen anybody, they hadn't seen me. And like I did last year when I was making those monthly visits. So this is the quickest way and the easiest way I can still stay in touch with the staffs and have time to talk with them and answer questions. And I sent out a Friday email last week where I shared a couple of links to the COVID information from the state and from the county, so they could track and they could follow what we see in real time as far as the different levels from the widespread, which is what we're in right now. We're trying to get down a level into the red and the orange before we could apply to come back in some form. So I met with the Bolsa Knolls staff last week. I met with the McKinnon staff and the La Jolla staff today. And it was good to see everybody. They had some great questions. Of course, there's a certain amount of anxiety around the reopen, and we're just in a process. That's why I sent out that information so they can watch it and they can see it, and as it's coming in, they can watch it and know that what we're saying is exactly, because they're seeing exactly what we're seeing. They were very appreciative of that. They really are appreciative of all the directors and the communication that goes out regarding whether it's special ed services or ed services or human resources or the business office. All the directors are extremely involved, and Melissa, with the sites and keeping the lines of communication open. So I want to thank all of them for that. As Victor said earlier, we met with Don Chapin last week, who is I think he's the board president at Rogie Commons. And we were actually sent the MOU from 2006, 2007, where they had an agreement with the Santa Rita Union School District for the family members of the homeowners to have access to our track and our field. In exchange, they would contribute to the maintenance and to the upkeep and the mowing, and we would provide access. So we're in the process of getting a gate installed with a crosswalk. I know that Victor has been working with the county to get our deed straightened out, so we have a clear deed on the easement, so we know what we're responsible for and what we can do. And one of the things we talked about doing is going ahead and putting a gate in front of that easement, because the only people that should have access to it and use it are the church. And they would let us know, and we can actually share a key or whatever we need for them to get access to that road. So we're working through that. We're going to meet with them and kind of sit down. I'm going to try to set up a meeting, go over and talk to the management of the Rogie Commons, just to introduce myself and be available to answer questions, because I know they've got a Facebook account and people are asking questions on that. So just to get information flowing out to them that we are in the process, we're going to get it open to them and have them, because they're ready to take some walks. They've been cooped up long enough. So Friday, Victor, Donna Koenig, and Chuck and I are going to go up into Watsonville and tour a couple of cafeterias. And the reason we're doing that is because with that restricted money that's coming back in for facilities from the repayment of the Bolsa Knolls projects from 3 or 4 years ago. We have that money that we're going to be able to access. It's strictly for facilities to update the Gavilan View cafeteria to get it in compliance with the issues that were raised a couple of years ago with the health department. So we're going to go look at that, which ties in also with us meeting with the new architects. We met with them. We toured the cafeteria and the GV campus. They've toured the La Jolla campus because we have modernization eligibility for La Jolla, Santa Rita, and Gavilan View. And we've put the application in for that to get approved. So we get in line. And one of the things that's good about the new system is they don't just have a first come, first serve on modernization funding. It's based on need. And so with a school like Gavilan View, with a lot of the issues with its sanitary sewer and the facilities being of the age they are and not up to code, as well as the electrical and the septic over at La Jolla, it would move us up to where we would be one of the first districts that would receive that. Right now, we're a hardship district, so we would get 100% of that. In a couple of years, that won't be the case. And then we'll have to decide what we're going to do as far as our bonding goes. But we met with them. They're going to start a master plan for the entire district, which will include the 6 existing sites and the 3 new schools in the West Area Plan. And we'll be able to bring that back. They will be putting some sketches together for us to start looking at what we want to do. And that way we have a plan in place. It'll be a 10-year plan. It's going to be our playbook. It's going to be there and we'll be able to work off of it. And then we'll just decide and prioritize based on need and funds available at the time to where we go next. Right now we have funds available and a need at Gavilan View for that cafeteria to be corrected. And so that's where we're going to start. It'll be project number 1 in this master plan. The last thing I want to just talk about is I reached out to yesterday. Victor and I met with a couple of representatives from MCOE at Santa Rita to talk about their MALF program, the Mexican American Opportunities Foundation. Those classrooms right at the back of that Circle Drive. They're older buildings and they have some ADA access issues that they're trying to correct. And we told them, just hold up, let's sit down and talk because we have this modernization money and we're going to be looking at doing some upgrades to both of those sites. So let's work together, let's sit down and let's consult with each other and try to come up with a plan that works where we can fix their problems and still fit it within the scope of our master plan to where we get the facilities where we need them to be. And I emailed Josh Jorn today. He's the head of the facilities department and transportation over at MCOE, and I'm waiting to hear back. But as soon as I do, we're going to meet with them probably sometime in January, and we'll sit down with our architects and their architects, and we'll just go through all their issues, and we'll just see where we can come up with some common ground and come up with a solution that best serves the needs of all the students, whether they're in an MCOE program, because most of those are our students, or our students as well. So I'll keep you posted on that, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Questions? Okay, I'm delighted with the idea of getting to fix some things that we know have been long-term goals. So that's really exciting. So we're down to 5.1, public comment. Nicole Jensen, I think you told me that you had at least one letter.
Yes, I do.
If you could read that for us, thank you.
Good evening, trustees, Superintendent Ryan, and other members of the Santa Rita family. My name is Luis Torres. Mr. John Gutierrez was not only my uncle, he was my godfather, a father figure to me, and had a huge impact on my life. First and foremost, I want to thank each of you for the support you provided our family during these trying times. After John's services a couple of weeks ago, I knew there would be a board meeting. I had an hour-and-a-half drive back home, so I listened to the meeting. Your kind words of my uncle were heartfelt, and we are grateful that you are looking at ways to honor and celebrate his life. Superintendent Ryan, you are absolutely right. John did birth the school. Bolsa Knolls was his baby, and Santa Rita was part of his family. I can tell you firsthand the great pride John had in Bolsa Knolls and the community there. I remember when he gave me a tour of Bolsa Knolls just prior to its opening. He was so honored to be chosen to be its first principal and proud of the fact that he was able to contribute to its birth. Over the years, John and I had countless conversations. I have been in law enforcement for over 22 years, and one of my assignments was as a school resource officer. We had plenty of opportunities to bounce things off of each other. I gave him tips on how to deal with deputies without upsetting them, and he gave me tips on how to deal with school officials. In a time of divisiveness in our country, he was proud of the fact of the Santa Rita Union School District welcoming school resource officers on campus. John and I had several conversations about this topic, and I hope you've seen the positive impact they've had with your students. My uncle was Bolsa Knolls, and Bolsa Knolls was my uncle. I have no doubt you will find a way to celebrate and honor my uncle's life in an appropriate way. Lastly, I want to thank each and every one of you for the service you provide to the community. Luis Torres.
Thank you, Nicole. That was beautiful. And thank you to Ms. Torres for sending us that letter. I really appreciate it. So we're going to go on to the business portion of the meeting. So we're at 6.1, approve an updated MOU with Salinas Salad Bowl Bobby Sox. And when we adopted the agenda earlier, we discussed the fact that the $1,000 fee might be a fee that was paid directly to the district, or that $1,000 might be services that the Bobby Sox provided to the district, in the past, that they've done things like maintenance to fences or grounds. So just clarification in that area. So, Ms. Zamudio, is this under your, or no, or who's, sorry.
This is Victor and I are working on
Okay.
this. So I promised Elva it would be on this agenda, and here it is, Elva. So, it's been a while, but we had a couple of clauses they wanted to work with. And I think I laid that out in the Friday letter. They were really very straightforward, easy to fix, and we did. And so this is a good contract, and it resets us, and we're good for another 20 years. We do the 10 years, and then one thing they ask for is the 2 5-year renewals. The way the contract originally read was they'd have to come back in and reapply, and they just asked if there's no letter contrary to them being renewed, could it just renew automatically? And I said, sure, that's easy to put in there. So we just said, absent any notification by either party, at the end of the 10 years, these 5-year terms will just automatically roll into it. So that was one of the big sticking points, and we got that fixed. So this is a good contract for the district and for the Bobby Sox.
Any questions?
No questions from me, but I just want to once again thank you and Victor for all the efforts and getting all of the contract and everything else that had to go with it, all the time that you spent going over with the Bobby Sox board members to see that everything was satisfactory to both the district and to the Bobby Sox. And I'm sure they're grateful too. And I'm sure that all the girls that play on the Bobby Sox team, some of them that come from our own district, who enroll into Bobby Sox, are going to be very grateful for the next, I think, 20 years. So, but thank you so much, both you and Victor.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes 5-0, yay. Okay. 6.2, approve service agreement with Seymour Finney Architects for facilities development.
Yeah, this was, we sent out the request for proposal about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and Victor and I met with the 3 firms that responded. And then we requested that they submit their proposals, and then we had a 10-day period for them to do so. And then I reviewed all 3 of the contracts. And really, the Sycamore Finney was the one that really, first of all, it was the best cost to the district. And secondly, a couple of clauses they put in there were very, I thought they were very generous for us, which they included some peripheral costs into their fee, which would be at no expense to the district. So it was it was the best deal for the district. All three of these firms checked out to be very reputable, high quality firms. So there wasn't any concern there. It was just that this was the best proposal that we got. And so this is the one that I accepted, and I'm asking you to ratify.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Could I have a motion?
Motion approved 6.2.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Okay, going on to 7.1, approve memorandum of understanding with the Monterey Bay Optometric Society for the fiscal year 2020-2021 and 2021-2022.
Yes, perfect. Thank you, Sarah. You just described it and presented it exactly the way it's written. So the MOU, there is no cost to the district on this. It's basically an agreement between ourselves and MBOS to provide the oversight needed when you are using an instrument-based photo screening tool to measure a student's vision. So I want to thank Nurse Semmelman for doing some research on this and working with other district nurses in the county to develop an MOU that would be an agreement between us and MBOS, so that when we are back and we can use our Optics Plus machine to do a quick vision screening, that we have the right and correct oversight.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, can I have a motion?
A motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 5-0. Okay, 7.3, adopt CSBA manual maintenance board policy updates for October 2020. And thank you again for the highlighting, always appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. So I provided you with just the checklist. Again, these are presented to you in the way that they come intact to me from CSBA for manual maintenance. So you have the guide sheet that gives you a nice summary of what each policy is describing, as well as then attached in there is the actual policy itself. So it's pretty straight ahead, and this is now, I think, our 3rd time we've done it, so it becomes routine, which is very good. That's how we want that. So we're taking great pride in the fact that we don't have a board policy. I don't think we have any board policy that's more than a year old. So they come in quarterly, so we're getting into our groove with this. So if you have any questions, I can answer them, but it's pretty straight ahead, pretty basic. And you'll start to see a trend of certain policies that are regularly updated, and it's really important to keep them updated and current. But I've had a couple of conversations with principals stating how happy they are to just be able to look up a policy and it's updated, and it's nice to have a black and white answers for people sometimes when you're in a situation, whether it's with an employee and a parent or a community member, to explain this is a process of how we proceed with a particular issue. So these are October updates. I think the next one comes in March. I forget, it all blends together for me after a while, so.
Any questions? Okay. Then could I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, passes 5-0. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we are going on to 8.1, Approve MOU with SRTA dated October 27th, 2020.
Thank you. We came to an agreement with SRTA that employees who are attending the funeral service for Mr. Gutierrez would be able to utilize bereavement leave rather than personal leave for that time away. And so this is the agreement. I wanted to also let you know that we have a similar agreement with CSEA. Their ratification process is different, so it will be coming to you at a future meeting.
Thank you. Could I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you. And 8.2, approve unpaid leave from October 29th, 2020 through January 19th, 2020 for employee number 160377.
And that on the agenda item, it does say through January 19th, 2021.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. It's easy to do. This employee is out of paid leave options, but has requested unpaid leave for personal reasons. The administrator is in support of this leave of absence.
Thank you. Can I have a motion with the understanding we're talking about through January 2021?
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 5-0. Thank you. And then elimination, so 8.3, approve the elimination of position 254 computer technician.
As we've reviewed our current vacancies, the computer technician who was reclassified in the summer to IT systems specialist, part of that agreement was then to eliminate that technician position because this new position replaced it. And so this is just a process to clean up our position control in the books.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There, passes 5-0. And then to 9.1, approve an MOU with the Parent Institute for Quality Education. Ms. Alderman?
Yes. So part of our learning loss mitigation funds allows us to work on our parent engagement, particularly as it has to do with the academic success of our students. Santa Rita they were able to get their contract in time for this board meeting for their PK classes that they're going to run for our parents. We did this, I believe, year before last, very successful turnout with our PK classes at Santa Rita Elementary. And so we're going to run those again. And then at our next board meeting, I'll actually bring you another MOU for La Jolla. So they'll do one for the Bolsonols and La Jolla parent base as well.
Excellent. Any questions? I heard only good things for years about their program, so I'm really excited to continue it. Motion to approve?
Motion.
I make a,
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
my last one.
Last one.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 5-0. Thank you. So the next regular board meeting, which is also going to be a reorganization meeting, will be held on,
Sarah,
yep,
that's a misprint. Because we had this on Tuesday, then
Tuesday, yeah, it's, I was
it'd be
going to
Wednesday,
say,
then, yeah, it's Wednesday the 9th.
yeah, so just clarification for the public. It says in the agenda Tuesday, December 8th, but that is not correct. It will be Wednesday, December 9th. And then going forward, as part of that organization meeting, we will be determining if we're going to continue meeting on Wednesdays and at what times, just so the public knows that that's determined at the reorganization meeting as part of what we do after an election happens. Is there anything that people would like agendized for future meetings?
I just have a comment. I just want to say thank you, Amparo, for serving on the board. For your time. I enjoyed your positive energy all the time. So, hopefully you'll continue to be involved in the community and in the way you can. So, thank you.
Same goes for me, Amparo. It's been a pleasure knowing you, teaching your kids, to turn out to be great men. I'm sure they will. And your dedication to the school board for the time you've been here has been exemplary. Your caring is evident. And my wish is that you really, really consider running for other positions, or coming back here when you're ready. But you will be missed. Your input was greatly appreciated, and your knowledge and understanding was, like I said, vital to making sure this board runs efficiently and effectively. So once again, it's been an honor serving.
Thank you, Amparo, for all that you did for the district for the short time, but it's been very impressive and it's a pleasure knowing you. I hope we get to see you at board meetings, possibly. You're busy, 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 but I certainly did totally respect all of your input and all your knowledge too. So thank you, and hopefully you'll come back.
Thank you. I appreciate all your comments. I've gone from this position to becoming secretary for another board. So yeah, I don't know how I got tucked into that one, but yeah, agreed. I definitely enjoy being an advocate for our students, families, and community, and I appreciate all your support. And if I do, I look forward to your future support. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. It's been an honor. So could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I motion to adjourn at 7:02.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye for the last time as this board. So we're gonna adjourn and we will be together for our reorganization meeting in December. So everybody have a good Veterans Day and Thanksgiving for those of you that I won't see until December.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.